misses part of it, they can come back and look, and people can watch at any time.
Awesome.
Um, yeah. So, Marianne, I'm gonna do a little bit of work with the chat today. I have a couple questions for people, and I think once I put up slides, there's only so many things I can see. So I might call upon you to help me kind of read what's coming up in the chat, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And I've got a slide deck that I'll share. It has a few links in it. So I would be happy to also share those slides with you, Marianne, and then you can pass those on to other people
Great.
who would like to see those. So I'll just do a quick introduction of myself and then we'll get going.
Wonderful.
So my name is Suzi Taylor. I'm at Montana State University with Marianne. My department is called the Science Math Resource Center, and we're in our Department of Education. We are a STEM outreach center. So we help educators of all types. We help students across the state. We work with communities. I love working with libraries. So it's been fun to do some projects with Marianne over the years and tie in STEM projects to librarians and libraries. So what I will share with you today is kind of a personal passion of mine, but also there's some really interesting national opportunities for libraries that I think you all will be interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my slides here. Hopefully this works okay. All right.
See it?
Okay, cool. Do you see other stuff too, or just the slides?
Just the slides.
Okay, awesome. Sometimes I have to clean off my desktop and make sure I don't have messy bunch of files all over the place too. Okay, so I do want to give a couple credits where they're due for the material that is here today. So I'm with the Science Math Resource Center. I also do a lot of work for a National Science Foundation funded project called Montana NSF EPSCoR. The slides that you're seeing here today originated with SciStarter. This is an amazing website that I'm going to tell you more about, and I'll give you the information on how to connect with SciStarter. And then I'll tell you about a cool project for some Montana libraries that we're working with that's part of the National Informal STEM Education Network. This is also a really fantastic resource, and I'll tell you how to connect with that group. They do many things beyond just citizen science. But the project that we're talking about today was funded by NOAA and by the Museum of Science in Boston. So I think I've gotten all my logo soup out of the way. So I'm going to pose just a couple questions to you, and I hope you will answer in the chat, and maybe Marianne can help me just kind of read off what you hear coming in. So let me advance my slides here. Sorry. First technical difficulty. There we go. Actually, I'll share our agenda first. So we'll talk about what is citizen science. I realize many of you probably have quite a bit of experience. Some of you may have never heard the term before, so we'll just go over what that is. We'll talk about how to get started. We'll actually look at a couple of citizen science projects. I have a couple opportunities that are really great for libraries, and then we'll have time for some questions at the end if anybody has ideas or questions. So here's my first question, and if you would just go ahead and type in the chat, where are you? And I apologize because I bet you've done this a million times already this week, done some introductions, but let me know, where are you? If you've done any STEM programs at your library, and if so, who were they for? Were they for kids, for families, for retirees? Just
Lawrence, Kansas. Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Ani Nakota College. And yeah, Eva has worked with you, all ages, and she's worked with Pawnee, Oklahoma, Stone Child College Library, Rocky Boy. They did NASA in the library a long time ago. My library is on the Lummi Nation Reservation, Washington State. That's Rebecca. Territory 6 in Canada, Nicole. Boulby, Oklahoma, Karen. Phoenix, Arizona. We do STEM programs for kids and families. Diné College Saley campus in Northeast Arizona, Four Corners.
Okay, sounds like, should we move on to the next one, Marianne? Thank you for co-hosting with me there.
Sure, yeah.
Here is my next question. Have you ever taken part in a citizen science project? And if so, what was it? And I'm going to guess just from doing this in the past that some people probably don't know what that is, and that is totally okay. That's what our presentation is going to be about. But if you have done one, I'd be curious to know what it was.
Lots of no's so far.
Right.
Oh, annual bird count on the res. Naomi Bishop in Arizona. That's awesome.
Bird counts and bird projects are really one of the quintessential examples of citizen science. So that was cool to see that.
More no's.
Cool. Well, sounds like we have an opportunity to turn some of those no's into yeses, because this is a really fun aspect of STEM that I personally love, and hopefully you will fall in love with it too. So here's the last time we're going to use the chat for right now. And again, bearing in mind, I know many people have not participated in citizen science before, but what comes to mind when you hear the phrase citizen science? You can just fire off anything that comes to mind and put that in the chat.
Local science projects. Amateur astronomy. Something people can participate in. Stewardship. Science projects that anyone can get involved in.
Yeah, awesome. Those are definitely things that I would have thought of. So I'm going to give you the kind of official definition of citizen science, and I think many people hit on these issues. So it's a collaboration between scientists and those of us who are curious, concerned, and motivated to make a difference. It's how people can make an impact on issues they care about and help science. So I think somebody had said it's local, which is absolutely true. It's accessible for all people. It's a way that pretty much anybody can be involved in science. So let's do a little exercise here. And let's go ahead and use the chat again too. I think that's probably easier than using the mics. So I want you to imagine that this tree is in your neighborhood. What do you notice? Just anything that comes to mind for you.
Flowers. Pink colors, the color of the blossoms, lots of blossoms, pretty. It looks like it smells good. Pretty pink blossoms, sakura, S-A-K-U-R-A. Lots of people said color. Branches, lots of pink blooms, blue sky, tree branches.
Awesome. And somebody maybe even ID'd what the tree was. That's pretty cool. So did anybody think about how many leaves do you see in relation to flowers? Maybe do you see buds on the branches? Another question, are the flowers in full bloom or are some wilted? These are all the types of observations that you might make when you see this tree. And you just participated in citizen science. So basically, when you take these kind of observations, and this took us, what, maybe 2 minutes? This doesn't have to be something that, you have to be really invested in. It's something that you can do while you're out taking a walk or doing a program with kids at your library. But basically, you are taking observations and sharing them back with scientists who can use that information to get far more data than they could cover from where they live. So I am going to make a stab at showing, this is just a 1-minute video from the SciStarter organization. I know sometimes these don't always work, so if it doesn't work, we won't worry about it. But I'm just going to see, Marianne, if I can share my web browser, and we'll see, hopefully this will show up. Okay, hopefully you were able to see that okay. Could you see and hear that okay, Marianne?
I realized like well into it, I had talked with mute on. I could see all the captions, but I never heard any sound. But I mean, they had good
Okay.
captions.
Yeah, my apologies. There's kind of a catchy tune in the background there, but I'm sorry that I couldn't get the sound to play for you, but I'll share the link in case anybody wants to go back and watch that video too.
Great, thank you.
So yeah, so basically, why is citizen science important? And here are just a couple examples of ways that ordinary people have contributed data that has helped scientists know bird populations have declined by 50%. Like I said, birders were some of the original citizen scientists. Birds are breeding earlier. More than 50 types of bacteria live in your belly button. The first flowering of 19 species of plants has moved 9 days earlier over the past decade. And there's a new type of aurora in the night sky, and the people who found it named it Steve. And there's another Jupiter-sized planet. These are all important scientific discoveries that were found not necessarily by professional scientists, but just by regular people who were helping out. Oh, and invasive mosquito species have arrived in Germany. The mosquito mapping is an interesting project that we'll talk about in just a little bit. So in one weekend in 2019, citizen scientists accomplished over 2,500 research hours for an Alzheimer's research project. We're not actually going to demonstrate that project, but it's a really cool one. I'll tell you how to find it. And basically you download an app to your phone and they show you images that you learn to classify. And so many people are doing this project that they're able to give all these classified images to the scientific community to help find a cure for Alzheimer's disease, which is pretty cool. Let's see. So who does citizen science? They are regular people without specialized training. Often the tools you need are just maybe a smartphone or a camera or even just a notebook and a pencil. And usually if you need any instructions at all, those are within the app or within the instructions. You really don't have to know much more than that. There's retired people who do citizen scientists, lots of kids. You can do a community group, busy working adults. There's always time for citizen science. So here's how you get started. And this is kind of the good stuff. So scistarter.org is the website that I use, and it really has become the go-to hub for citizen science. There's over 3,000 projects that's growing all the time. This is a really excellent website. It's supported by the National Science Foundation, and they're super helpful to libraries. I've noticed in particular, they actually have special office hours for librarians where anybody can jump on and just ask questions, get help. They have a special section of resources just for libraries. So they're going to be your friend for sure as you get started in citizen science. So you're going to join scistarter.org and create an account. It's pretty easy. Then you're going to start finding projects that interest you. They have a really nice search feature. So if you're into butterflies or flowers or stars, you can just type that in. You can also search by the part of the world where you're located. Some of the projects are for anywhere, some are for a certain place. I think this shows you what the search looks like. So you can, again, type in any topic or location. You can search by something that's good for kids or for families, and it will show you all different types of projects that might be good for you to take part in. You can also set up to get alerted when something comes up. Again, if you're super into birds and a new bird citizen science project comes online, it will alert you that this is something that you might want to try out. So what skills do you need to do citizen science? When you are doing citizen science, you're using the same skills that a paid scientist would do. So you're asking questions, making observations, collecting and reporting data. Sometimes you're looking at that data and analyzing it, and then sometimes also communicating that back to other people. So I'm going to show you an example here of one of my favorite citizen science projects. It's called Globe Observer. Actually, why don't you go ahead and use the chat real quickly and let me know if you've ever used or heard of Globe Observer. I would just be curious if there's any other Globe Observer fans out there. Do we have any Globe Observer folks, Marianne? I'm gonna guess maybe we don't. So let me tell you a little bit about Globe Observer.
Sorry, I was muted again.
Oh yeah, no worries. That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
No problem. Did we have any people who have used Globe Observer before?
No, just several no's.
Yeah, okay, so let me tell you about this. It is a free app. It was created by NASA. I would highly suggest you download this one to your phone. It's really fun. There's a couple different protocols, they call them, that you could do. You can see the graphic up here. There's one for clouds, one for land cover, one for mosquito habitat, and one for trees. The two that I'm personally most familiar with are clouds and land cover, but the other two are really cool as well. In the bottom left, there's a map, and I know you can't see that very well, but on the Globe Observer website, each of those little dots shows a place where somebody has taken an observation. So if you ever think, you know, I just sent in this information and I don't know if anybody cares about it, your observation will show up on this map, which is pretty cool. Kids especially think that's really awesome. Like, hey, I just got some data about clouds. I sent it to NASA and here I am on the map, which is pretty awesome. So what you do for the clouds protocol, for instance, you would take your smartphone, or you can use an iPad, and you just go out somewhere outside, you take a photo up, down, north, east, south, and west. And then it asks you just a couple questions like, do you see any contrails in the sky? If so, how many? It walks you through a little little exercise that helps you identify the types of clouds that you see. And it takes less than 5 minutes, I would say. It knows where you are on the map. So your GPS coordinates are there along with the date and the time. And then you upload that information to NASA, and they use it to kind of ground truth what satellites are seeing at the same time. What's really cool about the cloud application is if a satellite is passing over the place where you just took an observation of clouds at the same time, they'll send you an email and they will tell you what the satellite saw from 30,000, or not 30, way more than 30,000 feet up, compared to what you saw on the ground. The land cover application is pretty similar. You take a photo up, down, and of the land in all 4 directions. You can be done at that point and just submit your data, or you can actually classify the land, and they help you do that. You would say it's, for instance, 80% tall trees, 10% short grass, and 10% open water. And again, what NASA is doing, they have satellite imagery of all of that, but it's not nearly as detailed as somebody can get on the ground. So they are really happy to have that information that helps pair up with the images that they get from the satellites. The mosquito habitat mapper is really important because mosquitoes can be such a health hazard, actually. So it's really important that we help show where mosquitoes are breeding. And then the tree also helps you estimate the height of trees. And that, again, a satellite can't tell you the height of a tree. So we're helping share that information from the ground. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention on the Globe Observer website, they have an excellent toolkit for informal educators. If you ever want to do some programming around this in the library, there's some excellent activities and resources that you could use for Globe Observer. I'm going to show you one more example here, Project Squirrel. This is a pretty fun one because I think squirrels are almost everywhere. So anybody who does this project is basically just counting squirrels. If you see one, you can write it down at the moment and put it in the app later, or you can pull out your app at that moment. You can take a picture of it if you can get one. I don't know, the ones in my yard are pretty fast. I don't know if I can get a picture. And then you just send a little more information about what kind of trees are nearby. Are there cats, dogs, and other animals around at the same time? So when you're doing a project like this, well, actually, why don't you think for a moment? You don't have to use the chat, but when you're doing something like Globe Observer, say the cloud observations, or Project Squirrel, which of these skills would you be practicing? Which of these science process skills? You can use the chat if you like, or you can just think about it for a second. And this might be a fun exercise for teens or kids as well, to have them think about what scientific skills are you using. And this is what you would do when you're observing squirrels, clouds, trees, land cover, asking questions, observing, collecting data, reporting data. In these particular ones, some of the analyzing data, actually, I would say you are analyzing data, because if you're identifying clouds or types of land, you're totally analyzing data. And then communicating results is, if you talk about it with your family or your friends, you're sharing what you found out and helping other people be involved in that too. So basically, the benefits of doing these citizen science projects are you're getting people involved in science who may feel isolated from that process. I know sometimes it can just seem really far away, or that it's locked up in the ivory tower of a university. But here's a chance for regular people to just be part of that and to really contribute and to really learn more about what's happening in science. And this bottom right one, this is for absolutely true. It really does accelerate research and discovery, because scientists are able to get so much more data than they could get on their own or just with their team. So let's go on to a couple opportunities to do citizen science at the libraries. Marianne, I took this picture from your website from a couple of years ago. Um, I don't think I mentioned I did get to present to this group maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know, it was a little while ago, but such a great group. I'm really sad that I don't get to meet everybody in person. And I hope maybe next year we can all be together again. But basically, citizen science at libraries is just a really growing trend, and SciStarter has done a lot of that work. They're becoming hubs for citizen science with programs, with resources, things that people can check out, take home, and keep. And I'll show you a couple examples here. Whoops, sorry, there we go. So these are a couple ways that you can incorporate citizen science, and pretty much all of these are on the scistarter.org website. So they have lots of free downloadable posters and materials. You can download bookmarks, brochures, different marketing materials that just help people get excited about citizen science. In addition to sharing the projects, like the project Squirrel, some of the projects also have activities that go along with them. This particular one is called Ant Picnic, and this one is especially good for the younger ones because you make different mixtures of like sugar water or something else the ants might like. You set them out, and then you observe later and see how many ants have come, or did they go to this place over that place. So there's some good ideas there of ways that you can use that citizen science project in a program. There are many events that you can be part of. Citizen Science Month happens every April, and this is just a really fantastic and growing worldwide event. There are lots of webinars that you can attend. People will host, say, let's all get together and do the Clouds Globe Observer app together. We Dig Bio is one that I haven't yet participated in, but it's a national day when everybody is out observing biological phenomena like bugs and trees. And then here are a couple more ways that you can have citizen science at your library. The one in the upper left, I'm really excited about trying this in Montana. People have been putting together kits that have scientific tools that you can use, and then you check out the kit and you can do some citizen science at home and then bring the kit back. On the right is an example of a very small citizen science kit that we made in partnership with Marianne and the MSU Academic Library. And we gave these out to students and faculty and staff during April Citizen Science Month. So we just had some really small tools and things that people could do to learn about citizen science and do projects at home. There's some excellent books about citizen science that you could have in your library. And then the photo in the bottom right, this is a project called Cocoa Raws, and I forget exactly what the acronym is, but it's basically measuring precipitation. So having one of these Cocoa Raws rain gauges outside your library is a way for people to come to the library. They might see, oh, what is this? What are you doing? What's citizen science? Or maybe you would get volunteers who would like to be part of it and take the measurements in that rain gauge every day and then send them in to the Cocoa Raws team. This is a Montana project that I wanted to tell you about. This is the one that comes through the National Informal STEM Education Network with support from NOAA and the Museum of Science Boston. They have created a program called Citizen Science, Civics, and Resilient Communities, and they are helping people all around the country think about how to increase community resilience to extreme weather and environmental hazards. And that's by getting people involved in citizen science projects where you're looking at, say, drought or precipitation or sea level rise. And we will be working with the libraries at Fort Peck Community College and at Stonechild College. I'm really excited about that one, to be able to support those libraries in doing some citizen science. And then I did want to share for everybody they are doing some national forums, and these are going to be quite cool. So what you would do if there's a topic here that interests you, you could participate in the forum, and there will be people from all over the country who are thinking about, for instance, sea level rise. That's probably not the one I would attend being from Montana, but I know many of you are in more coastal regions where that might be highly relevant. If you go to this virtual forum and it's free, you would participate along with other people in asking questions about your own community, how this is affecting your community, how people might learn about it more. The drought one is highly relevant to Montana, extreme heat, extreme participation. And the link to you have to get a ticket for one of these, but the ticket is free. You're basically just registering ahead of time. So I'll make sure you have the link there. And then if you attend one of these, you would also learn how to host one in your own location. So maybe you would like to see what the national one looks like and then host one in your own community and make it highly localized. And then this, I want to make sure everybody knows about. This just came out this week, this announcement. It's a awesome grant opportunity for libraries. So basically, SciStarter, the website that I've been talking about, got some funding to work with libraries to create citizen science programs at their library. So if you apply for and are accepted to this program, you would get $1,600 to support creating these kits. And these would be like what I showed in the box, where you can check it out to your patrons, marketing resources, training, you become part of a community of other libraries. And again, I just can't say enough good stuff about SciStarter. They're so helpful. And even though it's a giant organization, their help is very personal. If you ever call or email, they will get right back to you and absolutely help you know what you need to do. So they're hosting a webinar on June 15th, which I guess is in just a couple days. And then the grant applications will be due on July 23rd. I'm not directly involved in this program, but because I've worked with SciStarter a little bit, I would be happy to help you think about any questions you might have, or if you need some help putting a grant application together, I'd be happy to do that too. So I think we're almost in the home stretch here. Oh, we are in the home stretch. We are at the questions part. So I'm going to stop sharing and just pop up myself and see if people have any questions, or did you hear anything that makes you think you want to bring this to your library, or maybe do it for yourself. That's actually how I got started doing citizen science. I like to go outside a lot. I walk, I hike, I ride my bike. And so I found that when I was out anywhere, I could just take pictures of clouds or look for birds, look for bugs. And it's just really fun. And then it kind of gets you used to it. And then you will feel confident sharing it with other people through your library. So I'll be quiet for a second here and see if anybody has any questions.
Since you mentioned it at the start of your talk, I've been sort of focusing on the citizen scientist involvement in identifying the belly button bacteria. But do you know anything about that? It just seems like a bunch of navel gazing. I don't know.
I love it, the navel gazing. I have to admit, I have not participated in that particular project, so I don't have any more info on that one. Sorry. I'm curious if there were any other of the projects there that you heard about that kind of struck a chord that you might like to try.
Well, I know Joy and Samantha from Stonechild College are giving out kits. I know that Joy's working with you on this, but just from the website, and Joy, after they presented on the types of kits programming that they sent out during the pandemic, and they're asking for ideas for more kits. I was just thinking maybe at that toolkit, maybe there's more ideas for you and anybody else. beyond what you're going to be working on with Suzi. Oh, so Mark Richards says, interesting that you mentioned Coco, the Coco Raw HS or Coco Raws.
Yeah,
I do.
Coco Roz.
Okay, that's right. He does participate with that. Mark Richards is with Diné College in, he's at the Saley campus in Northeast Arizona. They have 3 campuses.
Mark, I'm not sure if you're mic'd up, but do you have one of the rain gauge stations at your library or in your community where people can see it, or is it more of your personal thing?
Unmuted here. Yeah, actually, it was some years ago. I got interested in it. I don't wish I was more consistent with it, but I am one of the few stations that report from Navajo Nation. Actually, I ended up the rain gauge I'm using is actually an old rain gauge that was going to get thrown away here. They were cleaning out one of the old science labs, and it was there in the pile of junk, and I saw it and pulled it out and cleaned it up. I don't know what they were using it for, but well, it was pretty messy. But and so yeah, so I do I when we get some rain, that's usually when I report in. Although I know they like to have the zero mentioned also, so I try to get better at it. They recently came out. I say recently, it seems to me kind of recently. An app that you can put on your. I have an Android, and so when you were first asked about citizen science, I didn't really give that much thought, but I guess that is an example of what you're talking about. We get all these little measurements, and I take it places like us where there's not very much instrumentation by NOAA or anything out here. I guess we sort of provide yet another data point out there, right? For and they have a map that shows the different stations. When you report in, they'll show the amount. And yeah, sometimes it's a little discouraging to see that often I'm about the only one up here in Northeast Arizona. So I'm kind of glad you brought this up. I think something I should talk about with my boss, Dr. Peterson. Yeah, what if we went ahead and maybe put a rain gauge out there, or see if some of the students, Diné College actually covers we're the Tribal College for Navajo Nation. So we've got something like 11 different campuses out there, from Tuba City and over in Crown Point, New Mexico. Just recently put one up in Utah. So it makes you wonder, perhaps we could fill in a few more dots, give them a few more points from out here regarding precipitation. So thanks for bringing that in.
Yeah, I think they would love that to have all your campuses be part of the program. That'd be really cool. Mark, what town are you located in? Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
The main campus, the original one, is Saley, Arizona. We're about 50 miles south of Utah, 10 miles west of New Mexico. So kind of tucked up into what people refer to as the Four Corners area. And our founders put us right up against the base of the Chusca Mountains, right at the headwaters of the Canyon de Chelly National Monument. So a rather isolated but beautiful location here at Saley.
Awesome. I'll have to look for you on the map. And I apologize. I think somebody was about to ask a question.
Not a question, just a comment that we do an annual bird count in February for the whole tribe. And it's really fun. I remember going with my grandpa and he has binoculars and sitting outside, and it's usually in the early morning, but it's just like an hour or two outside, and you can identify all the birds, count up how many you see of different types. And it's a fun event that they put on every year. Lots of families go and participate. And it's been going on since 1998. So pretty much become a tradition for lots of families and folks to participate in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that idea of having everybody go out on one day and do something, because it just is kind of a great excuse to have a community event. That's really cool. I thought of something too that I should have mentioned. A lot of the citizen science projects that you'll see on SciStarter do require a smartphone and an app, but not all. And some of them that have an app like the Globe Observer with the clouds, you don't have to have cell service at the moment that you take the observation. You can be out, because I'm often out somewhere in the woods where there's no cell service. You can take your pictures and observations and save them and then upload them later when you're on cell or on Wi-Fi. And then some of the projects have a data sheet of old-fashioned paper pencil, which is great for kids who don't have a phone or other people who, for whatever reason, don't have a phone or don't want to use their phone. You can just download a data sheet where you're taking those observations as well. I should have mentioned that earlier. I'm just seeing if we have any other questions or ideas. I'm going to go ahead and put up a slide that has my contact info. I'm really into citizen science, and I love hearing about the ideas and projects that you have. If anybody had a question or wants to apply for the grant and just kind of talk over an idea, I would be very happy to do that with you. I just think it's such a good fit for libraries. And it's so fun because everybody can do it. Kids and families can do it together. So there's me. I'm just Taylor at montana.edu. And you will have the recording of the slides with the links and everything. But definitely feel free to contact me. And Marianne, I think if you can let me know if there's any more questions in the chat. If not, we would be all done and you can move on to whatever else, how to wrap up your meeting today.
Just a comment, very interesting. Thank you. Any additional questions or comments, anyone? No, I guess not. And we all know where to get a hold of you if we do have follow-up questions.
Yes, thank you, Marianne, and everybody. I appreciated getting to spend this time with you. I know virtual is not the same, but it was still very cool. And I hope you have a good rest of the week and the weekend.
Thanks so much, Susie.
Okay, great. Thanks, Marianne. I'll see you.